Yo, what's up everybody? It's your boy the Kryptonian saying here, bringing you a review for One Piece chapter 482. And I'm loving this chapter, man. And part of the reason I'm loving it is you're seeing the power of perseverance. And what you're seeing in this chapter is even though Luffy is faced with overwhelming odds, he's faced with a giant Moria who is strong enough that his punches are cracking the island itself. And Luffy's still not giving up. And at first, when you see the punches going down and you see Luffy going into gear 2 and he's staring down Moria, which was a really cool shot, by the way. But he's staring down Moria and you're asking yourself, you're saying, what is Luffy going to do? Because one of the things you catch in the opening panels is they're starting to realize the sun's coming up. And even Zoro makes note of it. And Zoro has a real badass moment where he's watching everything unfold, and he's telling all of Lola's pirates, like, hey, you know what? The battle between us and Moria, it was already won. He's just pulling a punk move, or as I like to say, he's pulling a bitch move, where what he's doing is he's trying to run out the clock. He don't want to do anything crazy. It's almost like how in football games where you got a team that got a pretty good lead and they don't want to turn the ball over, so they don't have the quarterback throw it as much. And what they end up doing is they give it to the running back and they tell the running back, just get us a first down. Then get us another first down. That way the other team burns their timeouts and the clock starts running. And eventually they don't have enough timeouts and we can win the game the safe way. And so that's what Moria is doing. And it's really smart when you think about it, but Luffy's coming through like how my boy Landon Collins comes through for the New York Giants. Just when you need him to make a play, he makes the interception. And in this case, Luffy, he doesn't just go for the interception, he goes for the pick six. He tries to run it back for a touchdown. What Luffy does is he starts using the jet pistol. He's knocking Moria in the stomach. He's getting them to cough up these shadows. They're spitting all over the place. And Luffy's just going for hit after hit after hit. And you can see it starting to take its toll on Luffy because, as we know, using Gear 2 is really dangerous. It's a huge toll on his body. It's something that Rob Lucci figured out very quickly when Luffy was fighting against him. But Moria is being stubborn as hell. He's trying to hold on to the shadows, and the whole time you have everybody watching. You have some of the zombies are starting to get burned. You're hearing Luffy, or you're seeing Luffy hear all their cries, and Luffy, like a total boss, like a total badass, he just grabs his cojones and he stands up and he continues to charge forward. And the whole time you have Moria. He's trying to hold on to the shadows to keep them from moving out. And everyone's freaking out because they're going, this guy has held on to over 1,000 shadows. There's no way Luffy can pull this off. And you got Zoro once again just being the ever faithful second in command. Zoro has his arms crossed. He's watching the battle. The rest of the Straw Hats are watching, except for Usopp and Brook, where they're going, oh my god, I can't believe it, Mr. Luffy, you have to stop. And even Chopper's like, do you remember what happened last time when you started using this technique? And Luffy hears none of it. Luffy continues to charge forward. He has it dead set on his mind. He's going to get his crew's shadows back. He's going to get Lola's shadows back. And it gets to the point where you just start watching Luffy hammer in blow after blow after blow, and you find yourself looking at Luffy with a new sense of appreciation, because even though Moria tells him, if you think this was a challenge, you have no idea what waits for you on the new world, that's absolutely true. I mean, I've been saying for a long ass time, Luffy and the crew, they gotta train, they gotta get stronger. And even though we've seen some power increases, now that I know like Shanks is a huge badass, and you got the Bartholomew guy, like there's more powerful people waiting. And even where Luffy is now, I don't think that he'd be able to stop Aokiji. So Luffy and the crew, they have a lot of growing to do. But what you see out of Luffy now is why when they get to the Grand Line, or not the Grand Line, they're on the Grand Line now, but why when they get to the other half of the Grand Line, when they get to the New World, you're going to see them carve out their legend in this way, where Luffy's going to lead the way for the Straw Hats. Any obstacle in front of him, he's going to bulldoze his way through it step by step. Even if it's just a half a step and he has to walk on broken glass, he will walk on that broken glass so his crew doesn't have to walk on it. And that's really, really telling to me. Like, I love telling you guys, like, when I see moments where it looks like Luffy's going through a maturation process as a leader, and we're seeing it here. And he's not just fighting for his own shadows or his crew's shadows. He's fighting for Lola's. He's fighting for all the zombies on Thriller Bark. And you have this moment, or not the zombies, but the pirates who lost their shadows to the zombies. And you have this moment where Lola, she's begging her shadow. She's saying, we've been together since birth. Won't you come back? And the shadow is acting like Absalom. Shadow's like, bitch, I don't want to go back to you. But this was so crazy about this. It's almost like Luffy has been taking their words as encouragement. And when he finally lands that massive blow, Moria is struggling to hold on to the shadows. He's telling him to stay in. And yet, Luffy has him almost saying his last words, almost like he's conceding defeat. And you have the chapter end off where Zoro and the rest of the Straw Hats who lost their shadows are being wiped away by the sun. You actually see half of Nico Robin's head gone, half of Zoro's head being taken off, and Zoro is just taking it. And you have this really cool panel where he's looking up into the sun, and you see the shadow on his face. Half of it's covered, the other half is being taken away by the sun, and you just have him like he's resigned to his fate, but at the same time, he knows that his captain is going to pull something out. So this was a really good chapter, man. This was really good. I could really see it where when the anime does this, or excuse me, I'm catching up. So when I get to this point in the anime, I feel like I'm talking about fucking Boruto stuff or Naruto stuff back when the Shippuden was airing, and like the manga was ahead of the anime. So when I get to this point in the manga or the anime, I'm hoping that the anime has some really cool music for this. Like, I want some really dramatic stuff, maybe with some horns playing while Luffy is charging forward, just to add to this surreal feeling of epicness that we're getting. But my chapter question to you guys is, when you got to this point in the story, were you a little bit like me, were you looking at it and saying Luffy is more than ready to go on to the new world minus the strength he has, the intangibles that are going to be needed to succeed? Or were you more caught up in the fact that the Straw Hats look like they're going to be wiped out of existence? But as always, guys, if you like anything I have to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching the end of the video, guys. Have an awesome day, people.